Okay, so firstly I want to apologise for the state of the workshop at the moment. I watched Bike Shed Boys live last night from his shed, and his shed is just amazing. All his tools are all laid out immaculately, everything's got its place, and this place is just constantly like a bomb's gone off. But in my defence, I'm massively busy with the Free Bikes for Kids project now. Coming up to Christmas is a massively busy time. You know, lots of families are looking for help. But yeah, after Christmas I'll have a clear out, I promise. But at the moment I hope it's not setting everybody off too much. I wanted to talk today about a knee pain issue that I had for probably the first 5 or 6 years. I've been road cycling for nearly 20 years now, and the first 5 or 6 years of road cycling specifically, not so much with the mountain bike on flat pedals, but with the road bike, I was getting some knee pain. And there's a couple of things, lots of things I tried that didn't work, and lots of things, or 3 things that I tried that did help. It's not going to be the same for everybody, obviously. Everybody's needs and situation and reason for knee pain is different. But I tried everything from bike fit to messing with saddle heights, trying all those saddle formulas that don't really work on modern geometry bikes anymore, different stem lengths, different pedal systems, all kinds of things. And none of that helped. The bike fit didn't help. I ended up reversing a lot of the bike fit. I was quite really disappointed with that experience, to be honest. Yeah, so that didn't help. But what did was these 3 things. So the first thing was the pedal system. So I switched out to Speedplay pedals, which are like these lollipop pedals, which are dual-sided entry. And the beauty of the Speedplay pedal is this cleat is on the shoe, and it's fully adjustable and it's circular, so you can have huge amounts of float, or you can dial the float out completely so that you're almost rigid, or this much, or anything in between. But I found with the float almost wide open, it was letting my knee track where it wanted to go. So that was the first thing that really made a big difference to me, was the Speedplay pedal system. Not everyone likes it. Not everyone likes that the cleat, you know, is obviously on the shoe, and it's quite bulky and it's quite difficult. You know, not difficult to walk in, but it's not super practical for walking. So I mean, if you're just doing a road ride and you're not stopping at a cafe or whatever, then it's not an issue. But you do walk a bit like a duck at cafe stops and things. But other than that, from a riding point of view, so it's a really good pedal system. I also have tried on my gravel bike the SPD system, so the mountain bike cleat, and that with this type of I can't think of the word, with that type of cleat, it's really really good too. And again, I think that's because you get quite a bit of float. But then the other thing I noticed was the gravel bike was better than the road bike, and I looked at differences, and the biggest difference was the Q factor. So the width, the distance between the cranks on the gravel bike was wider than on the road bike. The road bike was a narrower Q factor. So I put, sounds daft, but a couple of little pedal spacer washers behind my pedals to just push it out that extra couple of mil either side. And that, along with the shorter cranks, these 165mm cranks, right? Now this was suggested to me by a mate who had knee pain. This bike had 175mm cranks on it, and I've now gone, for the last 8 years or so, I've been riding these 165mm cranks, so 165mm cranks. And along with the pedal spacing for the Q factor and this pedal system, the knee pain is probably 10% of what it was. If I did a massive ride, a 100-mile hilly ride, I would still get a twinge in my knee, but nothing, literally 10% of what the issue was before. And I am nearly 50, and I am going to get these niggles, you know, I appreciate that, but these are the things that made the difference. So just to run through that again, shorter cranks, you know, 165mm cranks, does something, I don't know the mechanics of it, but it does something to your hip angle. Because the crank is shorter, my seat went up slightly in compensation, but it does something to your hip angle, which obviously altered the way that my knees were tracking, and it made a huge difference. So yeah, shorter cranks, wider stance, so wider distance between my feet by widening out the pedals with pedal spacers. Again, I got that from being on the gravel bike and noticing that that was more comfortable, so I went with the same kind of stance as the gravel bike, the same Q factor. So cranks, pedal washers to space them out, and then this pedal system. If you wanted to go wider Q factor, these speed plays come in a variety of axle lengths as well. I think these are 55mm, but they go out, you can get a really long axle which really spaces your feet out. Unfortunately, the only way to know what's going to work for you is to play with all this stuff, and it's obviously not cheap to be changing pedal systems and cleats and buying things all the time, and cranks are expensive things to buy. But if you can test a bike at a shop or something, or borrow a bike with shorter cranks on it and see how it feels for you, it could well be the answer to see your knee pain. I mean, I'm not promising anything, but I'm just giving you my history, what worked for me, what didn't. I mean, the bike fit made no difference at all. In fact, I think it was worse, and I kind of went back to where I was before the bike fit, because it just didn't improve anything knee pain wise. But you know, there are things to try, and that's one of the things I would never really have thought of if my mate hadn't suggested to me. And you hear a lot now about shorter cranks. Apparently Pogacar and some of the other pro level riders are riding shorter cranks now, so there must be something in it. But yeah, it's something worth considering. So if you're getting knee pain, hopefully those are some things that you might not have thought of trying that you can give a go.